Hello there, I'm Dark Shades and I also have a channel called Blackbright News, which is more to do with legislation and practical stuff. This channel is more to do with mental well-being, uplifting, more an inspiring channel. So if it's the first time you're passing through, welcome. I'd love for you to subscribe. I'd love for you to share and I'd love for you to comment. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about is menopause, menopausal women. I mean, it's been in the media quite a lot recently and with famous women speaking up. Now, I don't know why it has to take famous women to speak up before people pay attention. I know there's been a female group who've been advocating about it being a protected characteristic because people are giving up their women are giving up their jobs. Now, why am I asking about men? Do they understand menopausal women? Because women are isolated in their dilemma. I mean, they're going through all these they're going through a hormone change. And it's not something that you would expect a man to understand. It's just like pregnancy. When you're going through the pangs of pregnancy, the man will want to hear, the man will want to see when the baby moves. They'll want to see it kick. They'll want to see how your breasts are filling out. They might want to nuzzle on your tummy. But the actual process and all the uncomfortable bits in between, men cannot relate to that, and nor can we expect them to. It's a bit like menopause. How can men understand how you can be one way one minute and another way the next? How do they understand that, yes, you're sweating, but why is it such a big deal? How come you're so moody? How come you're talking to me one minute and you're not talking to me the next? How come you don't want to have sex? How come you're turning your back on me? How come you're so miserable? That's what they see. They don't see a woman going through a hormone change. And how can they? I mean, for years it's been taboo. It's only after the last 3 or 4 years it's been brought out into the open because so many women are suffering badly from it. Some people have diagnosed themselves as schizophrenic, bipolar. They think they're going through dementia. They're thinking all sorts. And they don't realise the effect or the impact that menopause has on their mental well-being. Some of them are even giving up their jobs because they don't trust themselves to do the job properly. And they don't have understanding bosses who could be men, they could be women, but they don't have understanding bosses who can say, okay, just take your time. We're not going to expect too much of you. You know, just get me to double check it when you've finished so that they can feel rest assured that somebody has got their back and somebody understands. It's not an easy process. I'm fortunate. Well, I shouldn't say I'm fortunate. But I went into surgical menopause at the age of 40. And it was when I was in America. And they put me straight on HRT. So I didn't have any symptoms. And I was on HRT from the age of 40 until I came to the UK, age of 50, when they had this big hype about HRT causing breast cancer. So they took me off it. When they took me off it, I thought, oh my God, what's going to happen? Am I going to get hot flushes? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? But it didn't. And I know I took evening primrose oil. I remember taking that. But apart from that, I don't really recall having any really bad symptoms. I was a bit worried about my bones because they say that when you go through menopause, your bones start getting brittle and all this kind of stuff. But that was over 20 years ago and I'm still here and I'm still talking. So it's different strokes for different folks. HRT is the best way to go to minimize symptoms. Some people take medicinal cannabis. Some people they exercise along with the HRT patch. You know, there's different ways. If you don't feel like sex, they have estrogen cream that you can insert. And there's lots of different ways around it, but it's diagnosing it. A lot of people, a lot of women don't even know they're going through the menopause until they have the hot flushes, and then somebody will say, oh, well, you must be going through it. And they might say, well, I'm only 40, I'm only 39. But it can happen any time from your 35 to 60, it can happen. So don't dismiss it because it's age. Some people, they reckon 1 out of 10 has thoughts of suicide when they're going through menopause. That's how serious it is. It's not no dibby thing. It's something that really needs to be taken seriously and looked at, especially by employers, because they're losing good staff because the female staff do not know how to explain why they're having brain fog, why they're forgetting things, why they don't know what to say, why they've said something 1 minute and then they repeat it the next. And they start feeling as though if they're on television, they can't afford to be making mistakes. So they give up their job instead of having help to diagnose and help put it right, or help them to deal with it or manage it at least. So what causes menopause? Well, first, men might be saying, got this tickle in my throat. Men might be saying, oh, what do I need to know about menopause for? You know, that's for old ladies. But, it might not be, if you're a young person, it might not be affecting your girlfriend. But what about your mum? What about your grandmother? What about your aunt? You know, if you have to be able to identify a change in behaviour and understand why that change is happening. And if you're an older man and your wife is behaving differently, you've been with her for years probably, you should kind of question, okay, she's behaving differently now. Why is she behaving differently? There must be something wrong. Let me talk through it with her. And if she says it's the menopause, read up about the menopause. Try to find out as much as you can about it, and don't minimize it or put her down or dismiss it and make her feel as though she's wrong to feel the way she does. A lot of men do that. They, instead of understanding and supporting their wives, they make them feel as though there's something wrong with them and they're making a mountain over a molehill and they need to calm down and get over it. Most women get over it. You'll get over it. That's their attitude. You know, don't worry about it. You'll get over it. And it's not that straightforward. And women need support during this time because they get depressed and they become emotional and they find themselves in tears and they don't even know why. Sometimes their body aches. There's all different kinds of symptoms. It's not one size fits all with the menopause or the perimenopause, which is the onset of menopause. Sometimes the perimenopause is worse than the bloody menopause. The perimenopause is just kind of getting you used to the idea that your body's changing. And that can be a shock to the system. And a lot of women, they start feeling old when they're going through the menopause. There's no need to feel old just because you're going through the menopause. All the menopause is telling you is that your estrogen levels are dropping. It'll be difficult for you. Well, you can't have children, although a lot of people do get pregnant while they're going through the menopause because their periods are so haphazard. They don't know whether they're coming or going. They decide to have sex and then they end up having a baby. And if they're not careful, that baby could actually be a Down syndrome baby if they have a baby during the menopause. Sometimes people have babies through the menopause and it's absolutely fine, but there is that possibility. So what I'm saying is that you don't always know what's happening with your body. Your periods, they kind of come and go, and you're like, wonder why that is. Maybe it's because I'm anxious. Maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because of that. And you find excuses and you rationalize away all the symptoms when the symptoms are trying to tell you, look, your body is changing. You don't need estrogen levels now. You're over a certain age. And so they reduce it. And that hormone imbalance, that's why even transgender women, they can experience symptoms similar to cisgender women, because they, if they've been taking estrogen or what they call it, hormone replacement therapy, and that stops for whatever reason, they can experience some of the symptoms that's very similar to perimenopause and menopause, even though they are not born women. So sometimes it's not just about the ovaries, it's about the hormones. The dip in the hormone levels or the change in the hormone imbalance that's causing all these symptoms. And it's bound to affect the way you behave, the way you feel, and you just have to accept that, nurture yourself and say, it's okay. So many women have gone through this and come out on the other side. And yes, it's uncomfortable, especially the night sweats, especially when you can't sleep properly. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but if you don't want to take HRT to reduce those symptoms, you just have to ride the storm, knowing that you'll come out on the other side. So, what are the main symptoms? So the main symptoms, of course, are the night sweats, brain fog, which is forgetfulness. But I don't know about forgetfulness, because I think we're in an era where we've got so much to remember, as opposed to how it used to be back in the day. And I think that we have to write so much more down in order to remember it. So I'm not sure if forgetfulness is a valid description. It could be if it's really, really bad. But I know I'm not going through the menopause, and I can go upstairs for something and I'm like, oh, bloody hell, what did I come up here for? I come back downstairs and I remember. And if I don't write it down, I'll go upstairs again and forget. That doesn't mean I've got dementia. That doesn't mean I'm menopausal. It just means there are so many things going on in my mind that I can't remember everything. And it's okay. That I don't beat myself up over it. I don't say, oh my God, I'm getting so forgetful. No, I don't. I accept that we're living in a world where there is so much information, so many things to remember, that I can't remember everything. So another symptom is anxiety, low moods, low self-esteem, what they call the wobblies, burning mouth, mental confusion, paranoia, laziness, uncleanliness. They're all a part where you just cannot be bothered. Paranoia, unable to cope with daily stresses, depression, a deep sense of sadness, emotional outbursts, and body aches. Yeah, all of those are symptoms of perimenopause or menopausal women. And like I said, it used to be taboo back in the day. I mean, I've never seen a movie with a menopausal woman in it and what she might do when she's going through the menopause. How come there are not movies about that? It's almost like I mean, they talk about when now they've got women showing pads and goodness knows. Before, back in my day, showing sanitary towels was taboo. You'd never see a sanitary towel on the TV. You know what I mean? And that, what they call the other one, tenants, I think. The one where you've got a weak bladder and they've got that on the TV. They can put that on the TV. They can normalise menopause. You know what I mean? So people are more comfortable talking about it. So, you don't have a menopausal week or a menopausal month as though you're dedicating a special time to it, because women are going through this all the time. It's like Black History Month. They designate 1 month for it when Black history is all the time. It's gone, it's the future, it's the present. So it's the same with menopause. It's something that should be in things like EastEnders and, Coronation Street and all the soaps. It could even be a start of a comedy skit, but it needs to be acknowledged. People need to know about it, and men need to know why their women are changing, and not use it as an excuse to go out and find someone else, or, be not supportive. Just because their women isn't how they remember them. The woman is changing. Oh, she doesn't do this anymore. She doesn't do that anymore. Oh, we don't laugh anymore. She doesn't want to go out. She doesn't let me make love to her anymore. It's all this bloody selfish stuff. Not, I've been with my wife for goodness knows how long. And she's changed recently. What has she changed? It's not like she's going out and meeting anybody. So what has caused her to change? They don't evaluate that. All they do is think about their bloody selves and what they're not getting out of the relationship. And they don't know what the woman is going through. And they need to know. They need to educate themselves. Study your woman. If you're interested, study your woman and find out why she's changing. What's making her change? Communicate. Not stay there, feel sorry for yourself. Oh, she ain't doing this for me. She ain't doing that. She stopped talking to me. She's miserable. Can't make head or tail of her moods. That's how some of them go on. Anyway, how did women cope before it came a thing? Can you imagine how women had to suffer in silence and put on a brave face? Because it was taboo, they didn't dare say they didn't feel well. They'd probably go in another room and make some excuse. I don't even know what excuse they would make. But anyway, some women don't realise that the anxiety and deep sense of sadness were symptoms of the perimenopause. Transsexuals, I've already said that. Transsexuals who use gender-affirming care, such as HRT, to help align their bodies with their gender identity, could experience aspects of it, like hot flushes, if their hormone therapy is interrupted, i.e. if they need to stop taking estrogen before surgery, for example. The difference is that reactions that are similar to menopause can be mitigated if they are still producing endogenous testosterone via their organs present at birth. So they might not get, a transgender person might not get as severe symptoms as a cisgender. Menopause is framed around the experiences of a person who identifies with the sex they were assigned with at birth, e.g. women, or what they call cisgender, for which menopause is a response to reduced ovary functions. But transgender women can experience symptoms of menopause as well as PMS, which are in response to hormone fluctuations, even if the root cause differs. Films and documentaries, like I said, they don't cover it. Over the last few years, I've heard people talking about night sweat, which is the most obvious trademark that informs women that are going through the menopause. So how do men cope with women going through the menopause? Women do not when men get close to them because they are so hot. Like snoring. Okay, what I was saying is that some women, they're not going to want their men to get close to them when they're feeling all sweaty and hot. I mean, you cannot imagine what it feels like. I've heard that it feels like a radiator, a hot radiator. That's how hot you feel. And it doesn't only happen at night. I used to know a woman who used to have it during the day. She was sweating and fanning herself and all sorts. So it's not just a night thing, but I guess it's the equivalent of somebody snoring and you need to sleep in a separate room. That's what it's like with the menopause. You almost need that space to just spread out, maybe have a fan, and just so you're not inconveniencing anyone. You just want that space and to be cool and unencumbered. You don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to explain how you feel. You just want to be left alone. I'm imagining that's how it feels like. Okay, so, and I'd be interested in comments, to be honest, because like I said, I didn't go through those symptoms. So I can just imagine, after doing a little research, what it must feel like. I'm an empath, so I can kind of get a feeling of what other people would go through given the symptoms that they provided. So, do men understand what women go through with the menopause? Some men accuse women of being schizophrenic, bipolar, moody, uncooperative, lazy, different, frigid. London Radio 3 DJ Joe Wiley is 56, said menopause brain fog made her a liability on her job. Other women told Female, that's FEMAIL, that their menopause symptoms cost them their careers because they believe they could not perform to the standard expected of them. And like I said, I understand it's becoming they're kind of petitioning for it to become a protected characteristic, just like gender, religion, age, disability, that kind of stuff. A mental health nurse, aged 48, quit her job. A 50-year-old was worried that she had developed dementia due to brain fog. Debilitating menopause symptoms have turned their lives upside down and forced many to quit their jobs. HRT, which stands for hormone treatment therapy, can help overcome some of the symptoms, but there was some scary feedback in 2001. Yeah, that's when I came back. They were saying that, it causes breast cancer. So when I came back, after taking it for 20 years, they told me I had to come off it. But I was fine, like I said. They do have an online menopause centre for any women who need to speak to somebody. They do video conferences and treatments to help women going through the menopause and perimenopause. And people have found it really, really good. It shouldn't be taboo. Women should be able to discuss it with their husbands, and their husbands should want to learn about it. Husbands should understand that their wife's body and what goes on within it and without it over the years. Online Menopause Centre is run by Dr. Leila Kayavusi. 1 in 10 women has suicidal thoughts because of perimenopause, so it's a serious thing. And men do need to be supportive. A survey of 2,000 UK women aged 46 to 60, 86% suffered mental health issues as a result of their menopausal symptoms. 37% didn't seek any help with their symptoms, and 8 out of 10 said that they did not discuss it with their partners. That just shows you 8 out of 10 didn't discuss it with their partners. And it's a difficult subject depending on what your partner is like. Since 2018, females aged 45 to 49 had the highest suicide rates in all age groups, according to the Office of National Statistics. I think that said males and females aged between 45 to 49 had the highest suicide rates in all age groups, according to Office of National Statistics. Sometimes people think their depression relates to COVID or other domestic issues. So some people, when they're feeling down and miserable and paranoid, they put it down to maybe, COVID and being locked up and listening to the news, when it's got nothing to do with that. It's just the body changing. One lady was informed that she was severely deficient in key hormones. She was prescribed HRT and was back to her old self within weeks. So what is the answer? Well, self-compassion, like I said, have compassion for yourself and your situation and what your body's going through, and nurture your body. It's okay. Tell your body it's going to be okay. Tell your brain you're going to be okay. Your body is just going through changes. It's just adapting to a new stage in life. Exercise is always good. Gently hold yourself. Give yourself a little hug every now and then. Treat yourself kindly and allow yourself to be treated kindly by others. Appreciate yourself. You know, if you can, take an HRT patch. You'd be surprised that reduces the symptoms if they still allow you to have it. And if you can get medical cannabis, maybe that can even help. And so that's all for now. So I hope this leaves you feeling better. I hope it encourages men to talk more about it. And I hope it encourages women to be more open about it as well. Okay, that's all for now. Bye-bye.